안녕하십니까. 저는 카이스트 아까 이 석좌 교수라고 말씀하셨는데 그건 정말 훌륭한 분들이 하는 자리고요. 저는 초빙 교수로 있습니다. 우리들의 미래를 맡고 있고요. 우리들의 미래가 이제 바로 우리뿐만이 아니라 우리들의 후손들이 살아갈 미래를 함께 고민하고 만들어가자, 그런 취지입니다. 시간 관계상 좀 영어로 좀 진행을 해야 될 것 같습니다. Hello, Tony. Good to see you again.
Good seeing you. Good seeing you.
So it was a really compelling speech, and thank you for your contribution to make this forum really enlightening. So everything will be connected.
Yes.
The trillions sensors will be connected.
Headsets,
Yeah,
sensors,
things will
devices.
be connected. Batteries will be connected. Vehicles will be connected. And energy will be connected. So it's time for you and me to
Yes.
be connected by this session.
All right.
Okay. So the main theme of today's forum is the Paris Agreement
Yes.
and the new energy business strategy. So I understand you attended the Paris meeting, right?
Yes. I went there to. I gave 2 talks.
What did you do there? And what did you anticipate?
I anticipate, or what did I actually accomplish?
Okay.
So essentially, it was a similar talk to this. It was about the clean disruption and about the fact that these are technology disruptions, that these are going to happen whether they want it or not, which is the good news to them. And it's going to happen whether or not, we have climate change, whether or not you believe it really, this is happening because like digital cameras and the smartphone and the internet, it's a technology disruption. And so if governments really want to make this happen, they should essentially get out of the way.
Okay.
So what I essentially told them was, let the market work, stop protecting old energy industries, stop subsidizing old energy industries, and basically focus on the future and open up the market, because the market is going to make all of these technology disruptions happen.
Okay. So in sum, the Paris Agreement, what does it mean to you? It just in one sentence. It's about revolution.
Well, yes, in one way it is. It's about good intention, actually, right? Good intention to make the world a better place. Climate change is probably the most important issue of our time. I was disappointed that there was no actual target for countries. So essentially, countries agreed to do 2 degrees Celsius, but they did not have actual agreements to execute on this. So, they agreed to come back in 5 years and so on, which tells me that governments are still unable to disrupt their own energy industries. You know what I mean? And so that's why I said, get out of the way, let the market work. So COP21 was good in one way, because there was an agreement, but it was not because there's no executable action plan that came out of it.
Okay, at that time they agreed what can be agreeable for a kind of tactical reason
I understand
to reach
that.
agreement. But Ambassador Che, who is sitting
Yes.
in front of us, is telling us the concrete measure, which should be definitely carbon pricing, is now on the table at last, which will make your disruption really meaningful. Okay. Right. Now let us get into the main point.
Yes.
According to your theory of disruption,
Yes.
utility companies are obsessed with the old legacy of success and would never make disruptive innovation, and therefore are destined to collapse. But having said that,
Yes.
do you still feel the same way after hearing the speech by Mr. Zhou Huanig, the president of KEPCO, which is one of the largest electricity utility company in the world?
Yes. So I believe most disruptions happen from the outside. Most disruptions even if the incumbents want to, which very few incumbents do, understand the disruption and even want to make it, happen, they may not have the culture and they may not have the organizational skills or the technologies to actually make it happen. And so you need, in order to do that, you need a strong leader to actually make it happen, no matter what. Because guess what? It's going to be disrupted, all utilities. So you might as well do it yourself. But to do that, you really have to push hard to change the organizational culture, to change the technology, to train your staff, and to provide the staff a transition. Because a lot of people, even if you mean to disrupt yourself, are scared for their own jobs and so on. So you basically provide them a path to the future. And you explain how this is a way to the future. And if you don't join the disruption, basically somebody else is going to do it.
Maybe that's why people say revolution occurs not in the core, but in the periphery, because of external forces. But
Yes.
this case of KEPCO,
Yes?
if you have strong leadership
Yes?
and then a sense of strategic direction,
Yes?
it can happen.
It can happen. I
All
mean,
right.
many companies have actually not only survived disruptions like Microsoft, but actually thrived and made it to the next stage.
Right.
So, but in that case, I mean, Bill Gates did not see the disruption coming, the internet disruption, but once it did happen, then he moved very quickly to make it happen. He changed everything in the company, the culture, the skills, the technologies, and so on. And Microsoft is still, a large company. So it can happen, yes.
Okay, we have to admit the self-initiated disruptive innovation is very, very difficult,
Yes.
right? Okay.
Yes.
Let's wait and see what will happen
Yes.
to KEPCO. But another surprising story you shared with us is the God parity.
Mm-hmm.
To my understanding, it is the cost of power generation
Yes.
becomes lower than that of the
Transmission.
cost of the transmission or
Yes.
power generated by the network or
Yes.
grid. So is that term coined by you?
Yeah, echoing that term.
Why God, first of all?
Why God? That's a good question. It's not about religion. Basically, I thought that even if the industry takes that God particle that was recently discovered at CERN and can generate energy at zero, which of course is not possible, but even if it is possible, the God particle, not fusion, but the God particle energy, essentially they still can't compete with solar on the rooftop. So that's where the term God parity came from the God particle.
So if we reach to that, the God parity
Yes.
level, are we going to see the end of centralized power generation
Yes.
system or
Yes.
transmission system?
Yes. So essentially, when you have every rooftop, everywhere, every parking lot, every warehouse, every Walmart, every Daiso store, every IKEA store with solar panels, essentially that's going to disrupt central generation. It doesn't mean that there won't be central generation,
Okay.
because we're still going to have data centers, which
Right.
need a lot of energy. We're still going to have the the aluminum smelters and so on. So we are going to have utility scale. But even in that case, if you look at the cost of solar, it's going down massively, exponentially. The cost of capital for solar is going down, and it's already becoming the cheapest form of utility scale. So even there, solar is going to eat everything. So,
Okay.
so the way I put it is, distributed solar is going to eat energy, and whatever distributed solar cannot eat, because we can't generate, like in very dense city, 100% of the energy, then distributed solar is going to eat. And if there are areas like in the north, Nordic countries and so on, that don't get sunshine at all for weeks at a time or months at a time, then wind is going to complement solar. Because wind also is going down in cost, and wind is has a marginal cost of zero and so on. But wind also needs transmission.
Okay.
So wind cannot compete with solar.
Okay.
Yeah.
So
And everything else, gone, disrupted. right? You want to lose your money, you invest in other stuff, right? You invest in nuclear, you invest in coal, you invest in that kind of stuff, coal, oil.
Talking about solar energy, you even forecasted the solar would be the 100 energy source by the year 2030. It is somewhat different what I hear from the IEA, International Energy Agency. Well, they take a very proactive steps these days. For example, the head of IEA, Mr. Biro, said the renewable energy is not an energy for tomorrow. It has become energy for today. So the romantic age is over, and according to him, more than half of the power generation came from renewable last year.
Yes.
Okay, it is becoming more and more big trend. But having said that, I still cannot agree that the solar energy will eat up every energy and it will be 100% energy.
Yeah,
So,
it's like digital
according
cameras.
to IEA, let me finish
Yes.
my
I'm
question.
sorry.
According to IEA, by the year 2030, coal and gas and renewable will be top 3 energy. And by the year 2050, then renewable energy will be top energy. But I hope you are right. But
No, it's not about hope. Look at their history, right?
Okay.
So look at what the IEA has been predicting for solar and for wind. And if you go back, which a lot of people don't do. So if you take a look at the predictions for the IEA for solar and wind over the last 10 years and you map it out, essentially you can see that they've been not just wrong, but massively wrong about the uptake of solar and wind, both. So, you know, their track record is one of being wrong. Why would anyone believe them, right? Why would anyone believe that they're going to be any different this time around? I mean, the hard fact is that solar is becoming the cheapest form of energy. And the fact is that the market is going in that direction, and it's accelerating because it's becoming the cheapest form of energy. Not because most people are green, but because most people want to save green.
yes,
and
not because it's a screen, but because
Right.
it's real. Really
it's real,
beneficial,
and
right?
it's already the cheapest form of generation.
Well, I'm glad to let you know that last year, for the first time in our energy history, the new installation of photovoltaic power generation amounted to 1 gigawatt. Maybe small to you, but it's a big size to us.
Yes.
This year it is estimated it would be more than 2 gigawatt.
So it's
But
doubling.
having said that, we still love coal-fired plant. We seem to love. For example, coal-fired power plant account for, roughly speaking, 40% of total power generation. And according to the new plan of this government, 20 new coal-fired power plants will be built. 11 is already under construction, and 9 to go.
Yeah.
And the all rationale to support this coal-fired power generation is the price, because it is the cheapest energy source. Would you agree with that?
Of course not. I mean, you know, any look at the cost curve for solar. I mean, solar is already becoming the cheapest form of generation, and it will become the cheapest form of generation here also over the next few years. If you build a coal plant today, usually, and if you build any new power plant, you have a 20-year ROI. Basically, you know, you expect to get your money back over the next 40 years. And even if I'm wrong by a few years, you will never, ever get your money back from a new coal plant, a new nuclear plant, a new gas-generated plant if you put it down today. You will not. You'll just not ever get your money back. That's as good as, you know, taking your money and putting it into a black hole. So even if I'm wrong by a few years, all of that money is going to be gone, basically.
Okay,
Yeah.
well, that reminds me of the event in Paris, this president of Enel, one of the largest energy company in Europe,
Yes.
declared And will not make any coal-fired power plant anymore because it is not going to make money.
That's it.
All right?
That's it.
Okay.
NL gets it. NL has been getting in solar in a massive way, into electric V2G infrastructure. NL gets what's coming. Yeah.
Okay. Okay. What about nuclear power plant?
Yeah. What about them?
Nuclear power plant.
Yeah. They're obsolete
But
already.
please be careful because
I'm
we
not
have
careful.
the president
Yeah.
of.
It's okay. I'm not, look.
Hydrologic and the nuclear power plant, Mr. Joe, he
Yeah.
was the vice minister for industry and energy also.
Yeah. So look, it's all about data, right? So
Right.
it's not my opinion, it's just the data. And the data says that any new nuclear plant is going to, assuming that it's ever built, it's going to take 10 years or whatever. It's going to generate at 20 to 30 cents per kilowatt hour. Solar is already at 3 to 5 cents, right? So, nuclear, if and when it's built, it's going to be 10 times more expensive than solar. And even it's going to be, more expensive than solar plus storage on the rooftop, if and when it ever opens up. So by the time any new nuclear plant that's, starting to be built today, if it's ever built, it's already going to be, shut down. So, nuclear, there's no need for nuclear. I mean, it's already obsolete. It's already last century's energy source, no coal, nuclear, all that stuff. Basically, any new investment in nuclear is gone, is going to be wasted. And that's why, I told the folks at COP21, if you want this 2C or 1.5C and you want zero emissions from energy and transportation by 2030 or whenever you want it, let the market work. Do not, if you want to help, it's going to take 10 more years. Meaning, if you're going to start choosing and protecting industries like nuclear, protecting industries like coal and so on, it's going to take 10 more years, right? But look, when you protect one industry, essentially you're taking away from another industry. And so the more a government protects, nuclear or coal or whatever, essentially that means that it's stopping the new industry from taking place. So it's hurting other industries, right? So the cost of protecting nuclear or coal or whatever, it's not free. It's going to come at the expense of the entrepreneurs and the companies, the Samsungs and the LGs and so on, who can make this new, and the Shingsung, who can make this new economy happen, right? Again, you either disrupt or you're disrupted. And basically, Korea either has the technologies, it has the people, it has the skills and the organizations. It just has to, the government needs to get out of the energy business. It regulates it, but it needs to get out. And if nuclear thinks that it can compete, then let private companies invest. The government should stop subsidizing and protecting the nuclear industry.
Okay. But renewable and nuclear power has something in common, which is basically low carbon. So it would be there any possibility for those two energy sources go together?
This is a
No.
technology disruption, right?
Okay.
You have no choice. This is not an energy transition. This is a technology disruption. That's like saying, to Kodak, if you make another type of film, then, we'll let you live, right? Digital cameras destroyed film cameras. That was a technology disruption. That's like telling horses, if you're a little bit bigger or whatever or smaller, then we'll let you, be mode of transportation. This is a technology disruption. You have no choice, right?
Okay. We only have 10 minutes left. 조석 사장님 나중에 잘 디펜스를 해주시기를 부탁드립니다. Well, let's talk about something else. Well, when U.S. went through IT revolution, U.S. produced new champions like Google, Apple, and Microsoft.
Yes.
In the era of climate energy, which will be the new champion?
Basically, those who, if you look at the internet, it was, so here's an interesting story. France had something like the internet several years before Silicon Valley, called Minitel. But it was and some of you are actually nodding, you know what Minitel was. And they, in France, were doing what we do now on the web, such as making dating, online dating, and doing train reservations and so on, many years before Google even existed, many years before Netscape even existed. So why wasn't Paris the center of innovation in the internet and not Silicon Valley? Because that was a centralized, it was owned by the France Telecom, it was owned by the government, and they were making the decision. But the internet was open. It was open protocols, and so anybody, two entrepreneurs in a garage at Stanford, the Google guys, or Zuckerberg, or anybody could actually create new products and services and participate in the growth of the internet. And that's why the central mode of data generation, which was Minitel, even though it was before the internet, did not succeed. Okay. And the open nature of the internet is what made it happen in Silicon Valley, because it had the culture and the the technologies and so on to make it happen. Basically, it did make it happen, okay. Right?
Tesla.
Yes.
Tesla might be the candidate to be a new Google, new Apple in this time. Well, recently I met with the J.B. Straubel, who is the CTO of the Tesla.
Yes.
And he said that the Tesla is not for luxury car. Tesla is about creating competitive platform for energy transport revolution. And now we see Model 3. It's only 35K.
Yes.
Roadster, 100K. Model S, 70K. That's 35K. And according to your forecast, we are going to see around 20K electric vehicle within 5 or 6 years.
By 2022, yes.
By 22,
yeah.
and
yes.
and you even said all the cars will be electric.
Yes.
By the year 2025, right?
All vehicles will be electric. All cars, all buses, all tractors. Right. Everything that moves on 4 wheels. Yes.
Major car makers would not happily agree with your forecast.
And it doesn't matter because, again, disruptions happen from the outside. Tesla is an outsider, right?
Okay.
Tesla's going to make it happen. Apple is going to make it happen. Uber is going to make it happen. Foxconn, Baidu, these are all outsiders. These are computer companies. They're going to make it happen. So the conventional car companies have 2 choices. They either join the disruption or they're going to be disrupted. I mean, that's the end of it.
Okay, then...
Yeah. Look, it's not an opinion. It's a technology disruption. It's going to happen, whether you want it or not. So you either join or you're out. And you better join soon because by 2020, when...
that's the name of the game. But how about new modality? For example, the Hyundai, one of the biggest car maker in the world, is really into hydrogen fuel cell vehicle. Does that make sense?
Yeah, good luck with that. No, hydrogen makes no sense for transportation. It makes exactly no sense. Basically,
can you be more specific?
Yes, of course. So hydrogen is essentially, it's a copy and paste of the existing oil and gas industry. So you need to generate hydrogen somewhere in a big refinery. And by the way, you need to use 22 times more water to generate hydrogen than you need to generate gasoline. So it's not really an environmentally friendly technology either. So you need to refine it somewhere. You need to pipe it in a pipeline, and you need to have, gas stations. So only this time it's hydrogen gas as opposed to gasoline gas, right? So, and at the end of all that, so who's going to invest $1 trillion infrastructure to do the hydrogen thing, right? We already have the infrastructure for EVs. It's called the grid. And we already have it. I mean, we may need to upgrade it. No, we do need to upgrade it, but we already have the infrastructure. So you need trillions of dollars of infrastructure, basically capital expenditure. You need basically to build all of these refineries. And at the end of all that process, the energy efficiency of hydrogen is about 16% end to end. 16%. It can't even compete with gasoline. So, and I said already that EVs are 95% efficient, right? So hydrogen, it was a good intention kind of idea 30, 40 years ago, but it can't compete. And, Daimler already said that. Daimler had invested in a big way in hydrogen, and they already said a few months ago, that's it, we're done with hydrogen, we have to go with EV. Basically, they saw that EVs were the ones that are disrupting everything.
So
yeah.
EV is already linked to the new industrial energy ecosystem.
Yes.
So EV is linked to the power grid, EV is linked, it's about battery, it's about also the energy comes from renewables, something like that. So EV is already making a new industrial ecosystem. Is that your point?
That is correct.
Okay.
It's all linked. I mean, basically the lithium-ion batteries that we make for a Samsung or for an Apple, you twist it a little bit, and that's this is, just to show you, this is the battery that goes into a Tesla Model S. 7,000 of these. I mean, you don't need to invent that much in order for the electric vehicle infrastructure to start happening. We have many of those technologies, and they build on the IT infrastructure, the ICT infrastructure that we already have built over the last 30 years. We don't need to build a new infrastructure.
Good. How about the diesel?
Yeah.
Is clean diesel clean?
Please. Oh, come on. Is that even, a question? There's no, I mean, now after the VW thing and Mitsubishi thing and so on, we know it's a scam, clean coal. It's a scam. I mean, anybody who says clean diesel, they should wear that headset that I mentioned, that shows if you're telling the truth. No, of course there's no clean diesel. There's no clean coal. There's no, of course not.
There's no such a thing.
No, there's no such thing.
Okay. Well, let me we just have just one or two more questions. Very brief one. JB Straubel again. It's about story of Tesla. As Elon Musk said, they will achieve full autonomy car within 3 years, and if that happens, crash or collision would be simply impossible. And relating to that, recently the founder of Google Business X, Sebastian Strong, visited Korea.
Yes.
And he said, think about the driver who read all the books in the world, who read all the newspapers in the world. Without doubt, the driver definitely will be smarter than you. Would there be some time in the future for human beings are not allowed to try to drive a car? It would be illegal for a human being to drive a car?
Yes, it'll happen. Yes, absolutely. It's going to happen very quickly, actually. So, my forecast by 2030, all cars, all vehicles will be electric, self-driving, and shared. We're not good drivers. I mean, we kill 1.2 million people on a global basis every year. And we send 20 to 40 million people to the hospital every year. So, we're not great drivers. As a matter of fact, just to give you an example, at Stanford, we have a program to do race car driving. So a self-driving car that goes 240 kilometers per hour, and it's already beating some of the best race car drivers in the United States. I mean, that's already happening today. This is not the future.
So it's horrible to think that it might be illegal for me to drive a car in the future. That makes me sad. But anyway, it's a joke. But
so let me make you glad. I have friends who own horses.
Okay.
Right? Now, you don't see horses on the highways, right? If they want to go ride their horses, they go to a special place and ride the horses. So that's what's going to happen with cars. If you want to drive a car, you go to a special place, to a race car, and you're going to be taken by a self-driving car there.
Okay.
Then you're going to drive, and then you're going to come home safely.
Okay, good. All right. Final question. You also visited Jeju Island, and so
yes.
you know about Jeju Green Big Bang.
Yes.
It is about replacing all the vehicles by electric vehicles, producing all the electricity with renewables, and all these things will be linked to smart grid system. And the vision or goal is to make the Jeju Island totally carbon-free by 2030. And as you heard, Governor Won stressed that point again. Well, it looks really ambitious, but there's still some skepticism. Carbon-free island by 2030 as mission impossible. Do you think the mission is really impossible?
No, I think it's going to happen. I think Governor Wan is on the right vision. And I just heard, did I hear him saying 50% by 2020?
Yeah.
Right? That is going to be huge because...
25.
I thought
yeah,
it was
well,
2020.
I'm not sure about the number.
Yeah, and if that's done, then it's going to be just another couple of years to get to 100 because you can just double it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Double it every year, and you get to 50% by 2020, and then 100% soon after that. So I think that's the right vision. I think that, you know, if California, for instance, is any indication, every renewable portfolio standard that we've had, we have just gone way beyond that. So to have that goal of 100% by 2030, I would be, and to actually execute on it, I would be surprised if it's not done by 2024, 2025. And no pressure, Governor, but you know, I think that's what leadership is all about, right? That's what leadership is all about. You don't need to go with a common consensus. You just make things happen. And that's what leadership is.
Just do it, right?
Just do it, exactly.
And when you also said, final words,
Yes.
you said Korea has great potential, but don't forget Korea has only 3 years for Korea to be the real winner in this kind of green race. Why 3 years? Only 3 years.
Because the tipping point, right? Once we hit the tipping point for both solar and electric vehicles and so on, essentially the market's going to accelerate. And the winners, if you're not in the market with products, essentially you're out. I mean, if you wait 3 years to get into the market, then you're going to be out because the tipping point is going to...
totally lagged behind.
Exactly.
Left out, right?
Exactly. So if you want to win, and again, you know, Korea has the technologies and has the organizations and the skills and so on. If you want to make this happen, you better invest right now to make it happen so that when the tipping point happens, 2019, 2020, you're there with products and you can scale with the market. Then you can become the Apples and the Googles and the Facebooks of the 21st century.
Okay. Do it right now with audacity. That would be your final message.
Yes,
Thank you.
absolutely. Get in now. Don't
Now.
wait. Don't
감사합니다.
wait. Yeah.
네, 감사합니다. 다시 한번 두 분께 뜨거운 박수
Thank you.
부탁드립니다.
Thank you.
네, 김사명 보수님 감사하고요. 네, 토니 세바 감사드립니다. 네.